Hello YouTube, it is your boy B3 back with another kicking, you guessed it, graphic novel review. Today we are doing a review of the comic book for my favorite slasher. That's right, Pumpkinhead. This is the Pumpkinhead limited series from Dynamite Entertainment. The trade was published in October of 2018. About 128 pages. ISBN 10-1524-107654. Quick read up about the book. For each of man's evils, a special demon exists. For 30 years, the demon of vengeance has been still, its corpse buried in a pumpkin patch graveyard in the hills. But when a reckless driver accidentally kills a pair of children, the creature is called up once more. This time, though, the monster's intended target is protected by a cruel, backwards crime family. They hatch their own supernatural plans for dealing with Pumpkinhead. For each of man's sins, a special demon exists, and when 7 infernal creatures roam the hills and the hollows, no one, guilty or otherwise, is safe. Plus a backup story about everyone's favorite, Haggis, by Colin Bunn and Kyle Strom. This was a pretty cool book. It's got lots of really cool art. The monsters look very menacing. They all have very cool designs. And there are several different ones, you know, like lust and sloth, envy, you know the drill. But, what was I gonna say? Yeah, sorry. Gluttony isn't there because there is a side story about gluttony. Let me tell you about the side story first. So, in this book, each of Haggis's sisters has their own demon that they keep watch over. And at one point, Haggis's sister, who was in charge of gluttony, who is the only one of the sisters that was ever nice to Haggis, she summoned Gluttony, and Gluttony was supposed to fatten a bunch of hogs for like a town feast. And he just ate a bunch of people instead. Like, he fattened the hogs, and then he was like, alright, now I'm going to just eat everybody who was going to benefit from those hogs. Which is a very demon thing to do. It's like, kept my promise, but, you know, now that I've done that, I'm going to do whatever I want. Very demon. And then she was like, no, you can't do that, demon. And Gluttony eats her. Eats Haggis's sister's head. Which, of course, Haggis senses, and she said that that sister was too nice. She was too nice to handle a demon, especially one like Gluttony, because Pumpkinhead, turns out, is actually the easiest one to handle, because he's the one that gets to roam around on the mortal plane the most, which is where demons want to desperately be. The others barely get called upon, and Pumpkinhead apparently gets called upon pretty often, because everyone wants vengeance, you know? But the other demons are like all jealous of Pumpkinhead and stuff. they're all jealous of him, and he has no love for them either. Just like Haggis has no love for her sisters, nor they her. You know, they already hated her before their demons chose them, and then she got the best demon, and they were all like, "Well, now we hate her even more." But yeah, so Haggis actually summons Pumpkinhead on her own for her own vengeance to fight, you know, to fight... I'm sorry, I'm really out of it today. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I worked a full 8 hours. She uses her own soul to call upon Pumpkinhead, but she doesn't condemn her own flesh. She condemns her deceased sister's flesh so that she doesn't become the new body of Pumpkinhead, you remember? Because you remember the first film, that's what happens. The human that uses their soul to call upon Pumpkinhead becomes the next Pumpkinhead, pretty much. Which is pretty cool, if you ask me. And I also think it's pretty cool that Pumpkinheads 2 through 4 were ignored for the continuity of this comic. I mean, if I was writing a comic on a popular film franchise, that's probably the same thing I would do. You know? Like if someone came up to me and was like, hey, write a Godzilla comic, I'd have it be in continuity with Gojira and probably nothing else. Just like the Millennium series did. And like the Heisei series did. Same thing with like Pumpkinhead. I would do that with Pumpkinhead. I would do that with like A Nightmare on Elm Street, you know. Just to give some slasher examples. A lot of different things, you know. I'd do that with a lot of cool stuff. But, yeah, so Pumpkinhead gets a pretty cool kill off when he's fighting Gluttony. I thought that was pretty dope. It almost looked like he would not succeed for multiple reasons, but he did. Not going to tell you how he beats Gluttony, because I want to leave enough room for you guys to still, you know, read it. You know, I know I give spoilers so that I can give my opinions on things, but I still want you to be able to read it. You know, I don't want to basically read the book to you. That's one reason I don't show images. But yeah, so Pumpkinhead defeats Gluttony. It's pretty cool, and it's one of the more creative kills in the book. See, slasher franchises are kind of known for their creative and brutal kills, and that's one thing I didn't like about the Pumpkinhead sequels. The first one had like a ton of super creative, brutal kills, and then the sequels just didn't really. And this book is almost the same way. They just kind of save it. The side story has like a super unique, brutal kill, and then the final kill in the book has like a super brutal, unique, ironic kill, which is very interesting. But the main story is that a drug dealer runs over these two kids, and it was an accident, and it probably would have been fine if it wasn't a hit and run, but he just kept on driving like he didn't care. He's a really bad guy, you know, willing to take human life, etc. He's working for like a hillbilly crime boss, pretty much. So the grandfather of those two kids has Haggis call upon Pumpkinhead for him, and unlike most people that call upon Pumpkinhead, because when you call upon Pumpkinhead, they make you watch the murders through Pumpkinhead's eyes. You know, it's like a punishment for the person that brought up Pumpkinhead as well. You know how demons be. But while that, in most Pumpkinhead movies and stuff, like, really makes the people regret it, it didn't make them, it didn't make him regret it. He wanted to watch. I think it was Pumpkinhead 3, there might have been a character like that. A woman. Am I thinking of the right movie? I don't know. I've only seen Pumpkinhead 3, 4, and 2 once. So, there's the sheriff and her deputy. They're trying to figure out what's wrong. They're with the family. And then, so he goes back to the crime list to protect him, but he's not from around there. He's actually from Tennessee, the guy who killed those kids. But the other people from around there, and they're hillbillies, so they're like, oh yeah, Pumpkinhead's coming for you. There's like no way they're not going to call upon Pumpkinhead to kill you. So they hide him, and what they do is they go to all of Haggis's living sisters, who, remember, all hate her, and they're like, hey, we want each and every single one of you to call upon your demons. I think it was 6 sisters. Call upon your demons and have them just destroy Pumpkinhead. Which is such a cool, unique idea. That's so much cooler than anything in any of the sequel films. Sequel films are all like low budget, straight to TV stuff, so they're not really creative and don't really add much of anything to the Pumpkinhead mythos. The second one, I guess, does, but it doesn't make sense with the already established mythos, if that, you know, it's odd. But we we get all that, and the demons all look pretty cool. They have dope designs. They're all very creepy in their own ways. Some have special powers, like one can spit acid, and then one has this, like, head strapped to like a club, and the head can say things, which is really creepy. Dope horror book. But And their fights with Pumpkinhead are okay. I'm about to give a really, really big spoiler. Like, huge spoiler. So the way that these other demons are defeated isn't by Pumpkinhead, it's by Haggis. The sheriff, Haggis, and the hillbillies that called down vengeance, they all go to see Haggis's other sisters. And they're like, alright, call off the demons. And then Haggis just slits all their throats, which makes the demons, like, disintegrate. And I was like, what a letdown! I wanted to see Pumpkinhead tear these other fucking demons apart. But he never really got the chance to do that, because in the side story he did it, because it was one-on-one. But in the book, it was like 6-on-1, or 5 or 6-on-1. So it was like, okay. I guess we don't get to see Pumpkinhead rip them apart, which is definitely what everyone who's buying this book and knows the premise of it wants to see. Like, I get it. There were too many of them at once, and etc. And it's nearly impossible to kill these demons without killing either the one who conjured them or the people who put their souls up front to conjure them. I guess conjuring the other ones don't work the same way as Pumpkinhead does, because it didn't seem like killing the crime lords that summon the creatures would kill them, would defeat the creatures. They just never gave that as an option, so I guess it works. I guess each one works differently, which makes sense in a way. It would make sense if they all worked the same way, and it would make sense if they were all different, you know? I mean, it's supernatural fiction, so... But yeah, just like, what if maybe killing the one who conjured them doesn't just immediately make them turn to ash? Maybe it makes them weaker and they like start to slowly wither away instead of just like immediately falling apart, as if like just something different than if the person who wanted them conjured was killed and not the person who actually conjured them. Like, maybe they start to waste away a little bit, so they're losing their strength, but Pumpkinhead is keeping his, so he's finally able to tear them apart. Or maybe when the witches are killed, then the demons, perhaps, lose their healing factor. Because they all have healing factors, which is one reason they couldn't really make much of a dent in each other. They all had healing factors. See, because, like, the book doesn't make sense in its own continuity. Because, remember, Gluttony killed the witch that summoned him, and then he stayed on the mortal plane. But the others, when the witch that summoned them was dead, they just disintegrated into nothingness. So what's the difference? If they're able to kill the witch that summoned them, does that give them the power to stay in the mortal plane? That was never explained. So, like, I can explain it away in my head, but it's not explained away in book. Like, because it takes away the healing factor theory would make so much sense in the side story, because Pumpkinhead kills Gluttony relatively quickly in the side story. You know? But then he can't really do much damage to the others because they have healing factors. But why didn't Gluttony have a healing factor, but everybody else does? It just doesn't make sense. Like, I liked this book, but the way all the demons, other than Pumpkinhead, were taken out just felt rushed. It was basically like Dynamite Entertainment told the creative team, they were like, we'll do a limited series, 5 issues. You have to fit your story into 5 issues. But I feel like the story we have here was actually enough for a... maybe an ongoing series, maybe like 4 or 5 volumes worth at least. Because, like, imagine it. You know, what if it was like Pumpkinhead fighting different demons to try to get to this person. And throughout the entire ongoing, Pumpkinhead's trying to kill the same person the entire time. and that person just keeps finding new supernatural ways to keep Pumpkinhead at bay, whether it be like it's some kind of amulet, or, summoned more demons, and things like that to fight Pumpkinhead. This could have been an ongoing, and I'm not just saying that because I love Pumpkinhead and think the first movie is underrated as hell, and that the character and concept are underrated as hell, which is part of it, I'm not going to lie. But there was so much that could have been done with this story that just wasn't, and I felt like that was a studio thing, not something to do with the actual creative team. Like, that was for sure Dynamite's thing. They were like, we want a 5-issue miniseries, no more. We just want the limited series. But the idea was bigger than a limited series. So that's why it was so, I don't want to say easy to kill the demons, but it was pretty easy to kill the demons. And I really liked this one thing towards the end, where the sheriff had her gun to the back of the head of the man who put his soul forth to summon Pumpkinhead. And she had this ethical dilemma where she was like, do I shoot him and put an end to all the death? Because then Pumpkinhead won't rampage? Because we know Pumpkinhead is just looking for one person. We know that guy is a murderer, a child killer, a drug dealer. He's ruined people's lives in more ways than one. But is it ethical to let this vigilante justice happen, to let this demon just give him a horrible, horrible, gruesome death that most people on the planet wouldn't even deserve? Is that justice, or is it not? And is it ethical to kill this man to save a man like that? Like, there was this ethical concern. I'm not going to tell you the choice she made. Either way, it would be shocking, right? Either way, she puts her, like, in one way, she can decide to kill him, which would basically be saying, I'm letting this child murderer drug dealer live, and he could potentially escape, because we're not even sure where he is right now, but Pumpkinhead knows. And if I do that, I'm still killing, like, a grandfather to a bunch of children. Like, I'm executing a man. Like, that's pretty insane for a law-abiding officer to do. Good luck finding one. But then, we also get a decision, like, if she does blow his brains out, yeah, she executed a dude, you know? Like, either she saves a criminal by executing a dude, or lets him be torn apart for vigilante justice. Either way, she's really not doing the right thing according to the law. So either one would be pretty shocking, which is why I'm not going to tell you. But yeah, the book is good. The ending could have been better. The side story contradicts the main story's continuity on how to defeat the demons, and the ending with the demons could have been better. Like, Pumpkinhead should have been able to kill some of those demons, instead of Haggis just making them all disintegrate at once. It was kind of a letdown. I'm not going to lie. It was a letdown. But it was still a pretty damn cool book, and I was happy to see Pumpkinhead in modern media. That made me really happy. Pumpkinhead's dope. If you have not seen the original Pumpkinhead film, check it out. I think you can watch it on Prime Video. I have it on DVD. It was $2 in a bin at Walmart. Can you believe it? Who would do that? It's such a good film. But that's it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. This book is technically rated T for teen, but if it was live action, it would have been R instead of something drawn. It's pretty gory, but I think older teenagers could handle it. So that's it. Thank you all once again, and I'll see you all next time.